Hello everybody, welcome to Eternal Brews. My name is Pojo, and today we're having a little bit of fun with one of the rares out of the current set. This is Gunslinger, and we are playing around with Kaleb's Sanctum, a card that I have just had a really delightful time with. I'm very much enjoying it, and I think it's been like just a wild amount of fun to fiddle around with. So Kaleb's Sanctum is, at the start of your turn, sacrifice all weapons on your units and then play a random weapon on each of those units. So essentially, if you have something like a spiked helm or a trusty revolver on some sort of unit, then at the start of your turn you get to sacrifice it and you get some sort of random weapon, which can range from a spiked helm or a trusty revolver to a rock carapace or a Peacekeeper's prod or something ridiculous like the Persuader or Deepforged plate or something nonsensical. Typically, we will always be upgrading in value with Kaleb's Sanctum, and we'll also be getting a lot of like on-summon procs for weapons whenever we actually trigger this. The problem here is, of course, that if you want to play a relic and a bunch of units and a bunch of weapons, that's going to limit the space of your deck quite a bit and add some unreliability, because obviously you need to play units that can carry weapons, and then you also need to play weapons, meaning that you will be removing the amount of units that you have on board overall, and like also you have to run removal, you have to run other stuff. Like it's just a little bit of a tricky build. Fortunately, we've managed to solve for that by generally running almost entirely units that come with their own weapons. So let's take a quick look at the list and we'll talk about what's going on here. First off, we've got Steady Marshal, which with a Gunslinger ally plays a +1/+1 weapon on itself. As a 1-drop, this card's super efficient. It's got very, very good stats. It's not something that people generally pay attention to when it's down on turn 1, and then if they do pay attention to it, like that's good because generally you want your 1-drops to attract attention. But it's really good stats for value, and it's got a +1/+1 weapon, which comes in handy later on, of course. Crackshot Fugitive is one of the cards that doesn't equip weapons, but cares about each other unit that is wielding a weapon, which will frequently lead to a +3/+3, +2/+2 bonus when attacking. That's pretty good stats once again for a 2-drop. And Hojan Crownbreaker, of course, if we put any sort of small weapon on, we're fairly happy to get this card. I included this card because the ramp on it is helpful for getting to Kaleb, and also because the lifesteal is helpful for stabilizing, keeping yourself a little bit healthy, and getting you to like some of the later game stuff. I'm firmly of the belief that Hojan is the kind of card that you want to use to transition into the mid-range rather than to like be a part of an aggro deck, because if you play entirely on the Hojan strategy, you'll tend to stall out because you are playing so much stuff on Hojan that all of your eggs kind of end up in that basket, and then when the card gets removed, you'll just kind of find yourself running out of steam. But this card is really good here just because, like, obviously it is a lot of power for value. It definitely stabilizes you on health. It gives you a lot of like useful stuff, and that's just, yeah, like this is something that definitely plays really well with a lot of what else we're doing. Notorious Scoundrel plays a +4/+2 weapon on it whenever it gets a weapon or a spell played on it. We have a couple of spells that really matter here, but the most important interaction here is with Svetya's Bravery, which is of course a 4 of in this deck. When you give one of your units +1/+1 this turn, if it's wielding a weapon, it gets an Aegis, and that Aegis does apply after the Renown effect for Notorious Scoundrel, allowing you to have Notorious Scoundrel turn from a 2-drop 2/1 into a 2-drop with a +4/+2 weapon, making it a 6/3 with a Svetya's Bravery buff. That's a 7/4, and it gets an Aegis permanently. So yeah, really, really good benefits. And then of course, like, it's still something that you don't want to do too early, since the wanted poster is a very big deal if your opponent kills it, but Notorious Scoundrel is one of the more powerful 2-drop gunslingers in the game right now, and like we really want to leverage that because this card is actually quite ridiculous as a finisher and as occasionally a value card if you are really, really confident that it's not going to get killed or that the wanted poster isn't going to mess with you too much. Quicktrigger Outlaw. This card tributes to play a +1/+1 weapon on any one of your units, but if you play a weapon on it, it deals 1 damage to an enemy. That kind of weapon interaction is very, very important. First Shot Rioter has that same Gunslinger ally as Steady Marshal, and with the Gunslinger ally tends to be a pretty efficient 3-drop. Just having a weapon is very, very useful. Granite Acolyte, one of my favorite 3-drops as far as like since set 1. This card has been like quite a useful thing for triggering renowns, triggering weapon-based effects, allowing you to buff stats and do aggressive strategies. Like the +2 attack on a unit that's already ready to attack has always been beneficial. This card has been like a staple basics card for a really long time. Also, the premium of it is super sweet. But yeah, we'll definitely be playing around with quite a bit of this. Oni Quartermaster. This card is always like a little bit on the weird side for me because it's so inefficient, but if you actually get the weapons and draw the cards, it's very, very, very good for value. And since we have so many different ways to play weapons in this deck, this simply can't be a deck that doesn't have Quartermaster. So we're playing a full 3 copies of it, or a full 4 copies of it, and just rolling with as much as we can. Finally, Red Canyon Smuggler, actually one of the lower picks here. We don't really need a lot of market because this deck is fairly aggressive, and it's going to run Kaleb's Sanctums in the main board. If we wanted to do merchants for Kaleb's Sanctum to like try and get the sort of the slow roll, we would use or to get the more consistent Kaleb Sanctum, you can also use the other merchant, which is Ixtun Merchant, to pick up the card that way. But Red Canyon Smuggler plays really well with all of the weapons that we're giving to it. It can grab cool weapons, and it can grab good finishers like Icaria. Our market is basically Plate, Vanquisher's Blade, Warhelm, a power that is also a weapon, and then Icaria, because Icaria is just a good weapon carrier and a good thing to be playing if you are late in the game and getting a lot of value off of some of the other cards that we're running. We keep our legendaries pretty light, but we are running 4 Pristine Light. You can use Vanquish in this slot if you don't have them yet. This card is specifically like, it is one of the better cards that you can play to get yourself into a good position when you don't have a lot of units that have 4 strength or more. The Onslaught ability is very useful because it can allow you to save a bunch of units that are a little bit less healthy, and it can also allow you to replay weapons into cards like Oni Quartermaster if you're really, really looking for that value game. But most of the time, the thing that this card does really well is clear the board of big threats like Sandstorm Titan, Inquisitor Makto, Vara, anything that has like more health than you can deal with. Pristine Light is really capable of dealing with these cards, and generally ends up being just a very, very solid way to clear the board. We tried Vanquish, we tried Vanquisher's Blade. Both are really, really good in this situation. Pristine Light does some of the same thing, and is just a very strong type of card for a deck that doesn't actually have a lot of aggressive pressure because most of its units aren't as offensively oriented. So this is a really good way to clear that board and get you into a better position, and yeah, the Onslaught is well worth it and can get you some really interesting interaction. This card's a lot of fun to play with, and it's the primary legendary in the deck. The only other legendary that I have, aside from Deepforged and Icaria, is Kaleb's Persuader. I like this card a lot. This is, like, I think a better Deepforged plate in a lot of scenarios. It's just capable of dealing a ton of damage. The Overwhelm doesn't apply, obviously, but it's a bit cheaper to play, and the Fire Sigil allows you to replace Kaleb's Persuader with a new card as soon as you play it and attack with it, which means that this card is usually value, and usually pretty good value at that. It's very, very efficient. It automatically replaces itself, and it gives you enough health to survive torches and a lot of the other things that will blow up your own stuff. So yeah, this card's very, very good. I like it a lot. We might be playing with more copies of this in the future. Finally, we have Peacekeeper's Helm for Rebuke. Rebuke is important just to get rid of some of the big units that might get in your way and get your aggro going a little bit faster. Most of the time this deck plays as an aggro deck, but once we start getting into the sort of mid-range to whenever we need to start playing defensively, when we no longer are the beatdown, we play down Kaleb's Sanctum, and we start swapping out cards and doing ridiculous nonsense. This deck also leverages Emerald Coin, which plays a +1/+1 weapon on one of your units when you attack. Obviously, that's really, really handy here. We aren't using Emerald Monument because it's a few too many depleted power, but we do have one in the market for later. Alright, that's everything. So basic idea behind this deck is lots and lots of gunslingers, lots and lots of aggro, and then whenever we feel like it, we turn around and we play down Kaleb's Sanctum, and we just basically start blowing things up with weird randomonium. It's a delightful, delightful time. We're going to show off some games from our stream for this one, and maybe we'll do a couple more highlights of it as time goes on, but I think this has been a really, really fun deck to show off, so we had some very, very fun games, and I'm going to show those off to you now. So see you guys there, and thanks so much for watching. See you in just a bit. Cheers! Flash Grenade could be interesting here. There are some possibilities. Pristine Light is clearly, just amazing. I feel like we might go after Notorious, Scoundrel, and Finest Hour. Though then it's a question of why we're not running Hojan, which the answer to is gunslingers. I have too many depleted power, which is really surprising, but might have to go for seats, honestly. Or less crests. Perish the thought. Okay. This is a hand of cards. Hello, Standing Marshal. Alright. So Quartermaster plays into...
They'll never catch me. The end.
Something, I guess.
Swords, sharp and true.
I think we're gonna lose to Huru Flyers no matter what, because all of our pump is in, like, Pristine Light, and Pristine Light just doesn't do anything here. Also, there's a severe problem between Pristine Light and the other options. Okay, that's a scary card, but not the worst card. Still, so much damage. Ow.
Another troop.
Okay, got a 7-4 with an Aegis that will wanted poster my opponent at some point. Emerald Ring might be the slow and steady way to win this race.
Welcome, welcome.
I know what I must do. It's beautiful. Merchants are too slow. Not gonna get me with any of those.
Finest weapons in Myria.
Let's get Emerald Ring. The engine must run. Yeah, it's gonna be a little life gain. Not the end of the world.
Your sword, Jito.
I can still get Finest Hour to death. Come on. Don't have it. Oh, Korovat Palace. Okay. So close, just needed some lifesteal there. Alright, well that was beautiful. Headhunter at 1. Headhunter is the 2-1 gunslinger? I'm okay. Well, yeah, if we can do it with Zoltafoil, then that's better. But why no torch? Just haven't had space for it yet. We might get to it. We'll see. At the moment, we care about weapons and gunslingers and having synergy between those two. Okay, coin here I think just plays depleted. It's never worth the depletion, even though the weapon is really useful. Did the Minotaur for a bit, didn't like it. Too slow. Like, Kaleb's Sanctum is supposed to be the top end for this deck for the most part.
Ready. Aim. They never stood a chance. Too easy.
Awesome. Ooh, we're gonna get a Kaleb Sanctum trigger, I think. It's looking at my units like, well, I need to get rid of that 4-3 now. Can you, though? Can you? Airguard Bandit's a little terrifying. You definitely have a pledge unit here. Heretic's Cannon seems good. God, this is almost lethal. I think my opponent didn't realize that was a Heretic's Cannon. Or maybe they have Defiance, but I'm pretty sure it's the Heretic's Cannon there. Ooh, Stronghold Vandal. Love it. That's fine. I'm sure we can figure out something to do. Caravat Palace is interesting here. Wasn't expecting it, to be sure. Yeah, I'll pay 1 for gun down. Of course I'll pay 1 for gun down.
Move over. I'll handle this. The end.
I can break that attachment, but it doesn't do anything. Do you have Harsh Roll? I'm gonna guess you don't. Harsh Roll or bust. Butto. Let's go. Why no insignias? Because we're silly, is the answer. We should definitely be running insignias. I built this deck on mobile, so a lot of like the stuff that you generally considered got lost in the fray. Steel Fang Chakra. Alright, we'll play another Kaleb Sanctum. Swing on sight. Hunter could feasibly live through this. Rude. Gonna play Quake Titan here? I think I'm gonna try my luck. So with 2 Kaleb Sanctums, do I get 2 weapons?
You'll be a fun diversion. On guard!
Nah, I'll skip. I only got one. They're supposed to be simultaneous triggers, right? I wonder. Alright, anyways. I don't know, I'm not sure if it changed my weapon twice or if it sacrificed all of the things simultaneously and then I didn't get anything. I wasn't paying close enough attention. Okay. Oh, there's no Rakano. There's a Rakano insignia. It's one of the core 5, so there should be a Rakano. Maybe I'm crazy. What a... Okay, wait. I thought it was the core 5, but yeah, Huru is the insignia. And Huru's an Omen's color, so it's actually Praxis, Stonescar, Combray, Huru, and Feln. That is a cycle, though, right? Fire Time, Time Justice, Justice Primal, Primal Shadow. So Praxis and Huru are in, and then Stonescar, Combray, and Feln. Huh. Yeah, for some reason I thought it was the original 5, but nope. They changed it around. Which they can do, because none of the factions, all of the factions are equal to each other, and none of them are in, like, a circle or anything like that. There's no such thing as opposing and allied factions. You can have whatever circle you like. Okay, Emerald Fire, Kaleb's, Red Canyon. I'm gonna redraw there. It really wasn't that bad. This is also pretty terrible. I think I got a slightly better chance with it. We'll see. Play an Iron Fist Chancellor, your opponent's afraid of you forevermore. That's always nice.
Never stop, never break.
Yeah, I got a real problem here.
Take them down!
Which is that my Quartermaster does not actually activate anything for me. Kaleb's Sanctum is the first thing I'm going to play that actually does anything there.
A fine battle.
Yeah, go ahead. Do I trade here?
No escape.
I think I'm good.
Swords, sharp and true.
I don't know, it's still a lot of damage.
No escape.
Yeah, we just had a really slow hand. I don't think Iron Fist Chancellor should be in this deck. I'm pretty sure I should have a different Gunslinger.
Trust in your skills.
Gross.
No escape.
We are so dead? So dead. Yeah, it might have to be Notorious, Scoundrel. Which is fine, that reduces the cost of the deck tremendously. Weapons on 1. Heavy Axe, Hidden Shiv. When I play Hidden Shiv, Hidden Shiv's a bit much. There's Warhelm, which is usually okay. Oni Quartermaster. Katana. This is the kind of deck that might play Katana, but is more likely to play Hidden Shiv or Call to Arms. I think I just want another Peacekeeper's Helm, honestly. When are we getting Soldier Tribal support? I think it's a pretty generic tribe, so probably never. Like, Paladins and Gunslingers are both a lot more unique than Soldiers. Spectre. Soldier is what you put on a card when you don't want it to be a Paladin or a Gunslinger. Let's see here. Oh, it's interesting. Steady Marshal into Peacekeeper's Helm is interesting. I don't think it's worth it. Better. Though in weird ways. Yes, definitely.
Ready. Aim. Our wings and will are unbreakable.
Move over. I'll handle this. The end.
I want Crest of Glory, but I also want Emerald Coin pretty bad. Because the real thing I'm setting up for is Kaleb's Sanctum.
Halt!
That's fine. I could fetch his Bravery it, but I don't actually care about the unit's ability.
You're gonna pay for that.
That went well. Yep, want that.
Only the best for you.
Well, that could be a number of things. I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't want to attack here because Defiance is a probability. And I'd rather have Svetya's Bravery up for other things. Yeah, I'll take the 2. You're gonna harsh roll, you're gonna harsh roll. So deal 1 damage to you no matter what. Got a free card, that's nice.
Swords, sharp and true.
Who says you can't play with fire?
Got another harsh roll in there? Oh, I should have played the Peacekeeper's Helm. Whoopsie daisies.
Run, cowards! You cannot hide.
Ooh, Flametail Whip. Love it. Pristine Light. So good. Kittens! Seriously though, where's that harsh roll?
Make each bullet count.
No harsh roll, I'm so happy. Easy kill. God, yes, Svetya's Bravery. What did I get here? Tower shield, got some armor, worn shield.
They never stood a chance. They never stood a chance. Too easy.
That was very good. Alright, so that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Our B-side for today is a Spellslinger deck, which I've been tuning a little bit. It's getting up there in win rate, but it's still not maybe at a perfect level. So if you guys have notes or some ideas on how to make this deck better, leave a note in the comments, because this is a style of deck that I am not particularly familiar with playing with. But yeah, I've actually really been enjoying this. This uses Soothsayer to put Premonition Bolts into your deck, as well as using cards like Zoe of the Endless Horde and Softfoot Burglar to play tons and tons of treasure troves, in addition to off of Goldmine. All of this feeds into a Calderan Cradle engine to make a bunch of dragons, using Honor of Claws and other things to sort of basically set ourselves up, and ice bolting our own units, and occasionally our opponent's units, to play sigils and get a little bit of ramp and get a little bit of value going. This deck is really, really fun when it goes off. It's a wild, wild time. Just wanted to sort of show it off, as there's been like just a ton of cool things that we've been playing with in the latest set, and like I'm not going to be able to do Brews on them all, but this one was really, really cool, so I thought I'd show it off as our B-side, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that as well. In the meantime, happy gunslinging, everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying Dark Frontier as much as I am. Feel free to leave a comment in the comments if you have something that you want us to play, and thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like or subscribe, and I will see you all next time with more Eternal Brews. Cheers.